it often starts quietly. You don't remember the exact moment it began, only that somewhere between childhood and now, you learned that peace was something you had to earn, that affection was conditional, that love was a reward for good behavior, not something you simply deserved for being you. Maybe it was the look your father gave you when you spoke out of turn, or the silence your mother used when you disappointed her. You didn't understand the rules, only the consequences. Every sigh, every cold shoulder, every withheld smile, carved a quiet promise into your heart. Never again. That's where people-pleasing begins. It's not born from kindness, it's born from survival. When your safety and sense of belonging are tied to how happy you make others, you grow up believing harmony is your responsibility. You think your job is to fix the mood, to fill the silence, to make everything okay, even when it's not. And that's the heartbreaking truth. People-pleasing often starts as a child's strategy to stay loved. Most people think people-pleasers are simply nice, overly generous, or too empathetic. But that's not it. Deep down they're afraid. Afraid that if they say no, they'll lose love. Afraid that if they disappoint someone, they'll be abandoned. So they bend themselves into shapes that no longer look like them. They smile when they're angry. They agree when they're exhausted. They apologize for things they didn't do. And every time they do it, they move further away from themselves. Your nervous system remembers the early lessons. Every scolding that taught you to stay quiet. Every argument that told you emotions were dangerous. Every unspoken rule that demanded you be easy, calm, and compliant. These weren't just moments, they were blueprints. The human brain learned safety by association. If being good meant staying quiet, that's what you did. If being useful meant putting others first, that's who you became. Over time, your identity turned into a reflection of everyone else's expectations. That's what people-pleasing really is. Not a flaw, but a coping mechanism that outlived its environment. But here's the problem. When you grow up, that mechanism doesn't stop running. Even though you're no longer that powerless child, your body doesn't know that. It still reacts as if love must be earned and disapproval means danger. So you keep performing, keep smiling, keep saying yes, because deep down, you still believe your safety depends on it. Think about how often you agree, just to avoid tension. How often you replay conversations in your head, scanning for what you might have said wrong. That's not weakness, that's conditioning. For many it begins with emotionally unavailable parents, unpredictable, inconsistent, or distant. One day warm, the next cold. One moment proud, the next disappointed. So, you learn to read their moods like a radar, scanning for storms before they arrive. You study every tone, every sigh, every look, because that's how you survived. Slowly you became someone else, quieter, agreeable, careful not to cause trouble. You learned that your emotions were inconvenient, your needs were too much, your boundaries made people pull away. So you buried them. You smiled instead. You fixed things. You became the peacekeeper, loved by everyone because you never made them uncomfortable. But inside, you were tired. Because holding your breath for a lifetime hurts. The saddest part is that many people-pleasers mistake their exhaustion for kindness. They say, "I just care too much," or "I hate conflict." But beneath that is fear. The fear that if they stop giving, no one will stay. Psychologists call this fawning a trauma response. When faced with threat or disapproval, instead of defending yourself or running away, you appease. You say whatever keeps the peace. You make others happy so you don't feel unsafe. It's not betrayal, it's survival. But over time, that survival strategy becomes a cage. You become the reliable one, the fixer, the caretaker, the one who holds everyone else together, while slowly falling apart inside. You think if you're good enough, calm enough, accommodating enough, people will finally see your worth. But instead, they start expecting it. They stop seeing it as kindness, and start seeing it as your role. You become invisible, hidden behind your own politeness. But here's the truth. People-pleasing doesn't make people love you. It makes them comfortable, and there's a difference. Comfort is temporary. Love is unconditional. When you spend your life trying to be what everyone needs, you rob them of the chance to love who you actually are. Because how can anyone love you if you never show them? That's why people-pleasers often feel lonely, even in a crowd. They give and give, hoping someone will finally give back. But love born from compliance isn't love. It's control in disguise. So what can you do? First, you have to unlearn what your childhood taught you. That's not easy. It means facing the truth that maybe your parents' version of good was really just quiet, and their version of respect was obedience. They might not have meant to hurt you, but pain doesn't vanish just because it was unintentional. You can forgive them and still acknowledge what it did to you, because pretending it didn't matter is how people-pleasing survives. Every time you silence yourself to keep others comfortable, you repeat the story your childhood wrote for you. You tell yourself, my needs don't matter. My truth isn't welcome. My peace doesn't belong to me. But what if you started writing a different story? What if you stopped apologizing for existing as you are? The truth is, saying no isn't cruel. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. Disappointing people isn't a failure. It's honesty. It's growth. It's how you become real again. You don't have to earn love by pleasing people. You earn love by being authentic. The more you chase approval, the more it slips away. But the moment you stop performing, when you finally let people see your flaws, your limits, your truth, that's when real connection begins. Of course, that's terrifying. If your whole life has been built on keeping people happy, being real feels dangerous. You'll want to run back to old habits. You'll want to apologize for being yourself. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing it anyway. Every time you say no and survive, your body learns that you're safe. Every time you share a truth and someone stays, you prove your brain wrong. You rewire what love means, and little by little, you realize love isn't something you win. It's something you build, with honesty, respect, and boundaries. It's not your job to keep everyone happy. It's your job to be whole. Healing doesn't begin with saying no to others. It begins with saying yes to yourself. Yes to rest. Yes to honesty. Yes to imperfection. Yes to peace. Because when you stop trying to fix everyone else's emotions, you finally have space to feel your own. And that's where you meet yourself again. Beneath the masks, beneath the compliance, beneath the years of pretending. You meet the version of you that existed before fear. The one who didn't need to perform. The one who simply was. That's the version of you that deserves to lead now. People-pleasing doesn't mean you're broken. It means you were wise enough to survive something that required self-erasure. It means you learned empathy in chaos, softness in noise. You became emotionally intelligent because you had to read people to stay safe. That sensitivity isn't your weakness, it's your superpower. The goal isn't to kill your kindness, it's to free it from fear. True kindness isn't about keeping peace at your expense. It's about showing up as your full self, even when it makes others uncomfortable. It's about giving, not out of fear of losing love, but from the abundance of already having it. And that shift changes everything. You begin to notice the difference between connection and compliance. You start feeling the quiet strength of a well-placed boundary. You realize that saying no isn't rejection, it's direction. Healing from people-pleasing is like learning a new language, one where safety comes from truth, not approval. It's awkward at first. You'll stumble. You'll feel guilty for setting even the smallest boundaries. But keep going. Every uncomfortable no builds the foundation of a more authentic yes. Because the real question isn't, how can I make them like me? It's, can I like myself when they don't? And when you can answer yes to that, you're free. The hardest part of healing isn't setting boundaries, it's facing the silence that follows. When you stop performing, people notice, some pull away. Some get angry. It hurts, because you thought that love was mutual. But it was conditional. That's the moment most people-pleasers relapse. The guilt feels unbearable. You start thinking, maybe I am being selfish. But you're not. You're just no longer feeding a system that survived on your self-erasure. That's why the first stage of healing is grief. Grieving the love you never received. Grieving the childhood where you had to earn peace. Grieving the relationships that only survived because you carried them. Because to stop people-pleasing, you have to admit something painful. You were trained to believe your needs were a burden. That belief lingers in how you apologize when you've done nothing wrong, in how you downplay your achievements, in how you over-explain when you simply mean no. These are small habits, but they're symptoms of a deep misunderstanding about love. You learn that love must be earned by being easy to love. But that's not love. That's fear disguised as care. You can care deeply and still have boundaries. You can love people without carrying the weight of their happiness. At first, boundaries won't feel empowering. They'll feel wrong. Because your body still believes honesty equals rejection. But keep practicing. Every time you honor your truth, your nervous system learns a new pattern. You realize that honesty doesn't destroy connection, it defines it. Some relationships will fade. That's okay. They were built on conditions your healed self can't sustain. But the ones that remain, those are the real ones. Built on truth, not performance. Over time, peace no longer feels empty. Stillness no longer feels dangerous. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop needing everyone to like you. You start liking yourself instead. Because people-pleasing was never about others. It was about your inner child trying to feel safe. The real healing begins when you become the adult that child needed. Someone who says, you don't have to earn love. You already are it. Start small. The next time you feel guilt for saying no, remind yourself, this discomfort is growth. The next time someone is upset with your boundary, remember, their reaction doesn't define your worth. The next time you catch yourself over-explaining, pause. You don't owe the world justification for existing. That's how you reclaim your life, one honest moment at a time. Because peace isn't found in keeping everyone happy. It's found in being authentic, even when that authenticity causes waves. You weren't born to be agreeable. You were born to be whole. Your parents might have taught you that good children stay quiet, that self-sacrifice is love. But you're not a child anymore. You can choose differently now. Choose honesty over harmony, truth over approval, love over fear. Because the moment you stop trying to be who they needed, you finally become who you were meant to be. And that's when something beautiful happens. The right people find you. The ones who love you, not for how easy you are, but for how real you are. The ones who can handle your truth, your depth, your boundaries. That's what real love looks like. It's not fragile. It doesn't require pretending. It grows in the soil of mutual respect. But to experience it, you have to let the old version of love die. The one that demanded you disappear. Because your worth was never measured by how much peace you create for others. It's measured by how much truth you can hold within yourself. So stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to be easy. Start trying to be real. You deserve relationships that don't require performance. You deserve peace that doesn't depend on silence. You deserve to exist without shrinking. Because love, real love, doesn't ask you to disappear. It asks you to return, fully, honestly, unapologetically to yourself. And that's the moment you stop being a people pleaser and start being a person again.